At some point, collecting stopped being about what we chose, and it started to be about what we didn't want to miss. New drops every week, limited windows, pre-orders on pre-orders. And somehow, passing on something started to feel like a failure. But here's the uncomfortable part. Not everything that we buy is collecting. Sometimes it's just consumption. Sometimes it's pressure. And sometimes it's just the fear of missing out, wearing the mask of passion. Collecting, consumerism, and hoarding. 3 very different things. But in this hobby, we treat them like they're all the same. And that confusion is why so many collectors feel burnt out, anxious, and overwhelmed, even when they're buying more than ever. So the real question isn't really how much do you own? The real question is, why does it belong here? And if you've never stopped to ask yourself that question, then this video may get a little bit uncomfortable. Stick around. If you've been collecting for any amount of time, then you felt it. The calendar runs our excitement. Announcements dictate our moods. And missing a drop feels worse than buying a figure that you didn't want in the first place. So why is all of that backwards? That's one of the things that I'm constantly asking myself. Because a lot of the time, I really do feel like I'm looking at the game through X-ray glasses. Like that old Rowdy Roddy Piper movie.
I've got one that can see.
Like I'm riding around with Morpheus, and there's only a few of us unplugged from the Matrix. And what makes it even worse is that a lot of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of you guys can see through it too. But I really do feel like a lot of you guys want to be this guy right here.
I know this steak doesn't exist. Ignorance is bliss.
That's the problem right there. And I really do feel like a lot of us fall into this rabbit hole of collecting. It started off with rules, and somewhere it just turned into, well, if they announce it, I guess I need it. Too many collectors are out there trying to keep up. And to that, I ask, keep up with what? What is it that you're keeping up with? And what does that mean, really? And don't just ask yourself the question. Answer it. Pause this video right now and answer the question to yourself. What is it that you're trying to keep up with? Because when I look at collections or collecting in general, I don't want to be like anybody else. Yeah, we got the same sneakers, but you ain't rocking those right. Let me put you on the game. That's the type of time that I'm on. That's how I look at it. We might can have the same sneakers. Yeah, that can happen. But for us to have the same exact wardrobe, that's a little bit much. Like, who wants that, really? Even if we went to the same store at the same time with the same budget, we should be coming out with different bags and different things and different items. And it's really because we're different people with different tastes. If we all walked into the same store with the same money and we all walked out with the same exact things, wouldn't you say to yourself, that's a little bit corny? That right there would make me rethink everything I just bought, because now I don't even want it anymore. To people on the outside looking in, we're just carbon copies of each other. What came first, the chicken or the egg? It doesn't really matter, because to tell you the truth, I don't even want to be in that conversation. If I'm going to put my energy into something, then I want to stand out. Collecting used to feel like a discovery. It used to feel like a separation from reality. But every day, more and more, it just feels a lot more like maintenance. Another pre-order, another deadline, another thing that we should grab before it's just gone. And when the hobby starts to feel like homework, well, that's the first sign that something's off, because excitement doesn't lead to anxiety. Obligation does. And this right here is where the lines start to matter. Collecting by nature is personal, it's intentional, it's selective. Consumerism is reactive, it's calendar driven, it's impulse disguised as enthusiasm. And the tricky part about that is that consumerism feels productive. It really does. We buy something, we check it off the list, and we feel accomplished. But buying something doesn't automatically add meaning. Just because something exists, just because something is new, just because everybody is talking about it, doesn't mean that it belongs in your collection. I can't even lie. I feel like this like 80 through 90% of the time whenever I see announcements. I look at those lists and I say to myself, perfect. I'm literally looking at those months and saying to myself, wow, I don't have to go to the store and see what's in stock because I already know what's there and I don't want it. Then I go on YouTube or I catch a live stream and I'm seeing people going crazy for things that they already have. Look, if you don't have the figure already, then that's one thing. But I'm literally watching people buy things just to buy them. When I put together Strong Guy, I had to buy a bunch of figures just to get them together. Some figures I didn't even want in my collection, but I sacrificed for Strong Guy. Then I go online and I see people with the same figure and they saying, oh, but this one got a barbell and the shade is a little bit different. I'm all in. And I'm like, wait, what? You're going to drop $40 to $50 on a new figure because he comes with a barbell? So wait, what? Now the old one's no good? And what's even worse is when I say something like, well, I'm good off that. It's almost like it's unfathomable. They look at me like, wait, you're not gonna get it? It's like they're surprised that I have like free will. No, I'm not gonna get it. And you can keep all the YouTube talk. I couldn't care less that he has a barbell and don't say something to me like, oh, this one's pinless. Collecting makes you ask, why does this matter to me? Consumerism makes you ask, why don't I have this yet? And those are two very different questions right there. Now, this part right here can get uncomfortable for some people, but it's important that we talk about it. So let's do it carefully. Hoarding isn't about having a lot of stuff. Hoarding is about accumulation without boundaries, without narrative, and without intention. When everything gets a chance to stay, then nothing stands out. Hoarding is when your shelves stop telling stories and they start hiding decisions. Every shelf that I have has to have a story attached to it. I don't believe in getting figures just to get them. It can be the best mold in the world, but if it doesn't fit what I have going on, then it just doesn't fit. It is what it is. A lot of the collections that I see nowadays are what I like to call YouTube collections. Everybody wants to be like Shortimus Prime. Boxes and figures all over the place and their room looks like an Amazon return center. That's not what a collection room is supposed to look like. Then I see other people who just want to stuff every figure that gets released into their background like they Dan Who reviews. That's not realistic. And not for nothing, Dan Who doesn't really come off as a collector to me. He comes off more as a salesman who happens to be pushing toys in a room dedicated to his audience. That's how he comes off. I'm not saying that he doesn't like collecting, but I am saying that he's figured out how to balance the two, and it's clear which one comes first. Then I look at a collection room like Carbon Scoring, and man, what a difference. It's not jam-packed, the figures have room to breathe, and you can tell right away this collection has been curated. Then I look at the type of videos that Carbon Scoring does, and his character history and evolution, and yeah, everything starts to flow together. A lot of collectors don't even realize that they're drifting off into that space because the hobby rewards quantity. More shelves, more boxes, more hauls. But if we can't explain why something is there, and not to the internet, but to yourself, then that's usually the first sign that's worth listening to. This isn't about judgment. It's about awareness. Now here's the reframe that really changed everything for me. Passing on something isn't losing. Passing on something is choosing. Curation isn't about absence. Curation is about authorship. It's about deciding what story we're telling and also deciding what characters don't belong in our story. Anybody can buy everything. That doesn't take confidence. Saying no does. The strongest collections that I've seen personally have never been the biggest collections. The strongest collections have been the clearest ones, the ones where every character has earned their place. And this is where I want to bring it home real quick. Curation is about knowing your limits and knowing that less is more. I see a lot of people buying like 5 X-Men 9/7 Sentinels and lining them up shoulder to shoulder. And hey, if that's your thing, that's fine. But what I really see is someone who's desperate to show other people, hey, look at me. I blew a whole check. But ask yourself, is this about story or is this about scale? Is this about passion or is this about performance? Because to me, one sentinel placed with intention looks a whole lot better then 5 of them standing there shoulder to shoulder trying to prove something. That's why Galactus is such a big deal. He's the centerpiece, and there's only one. If you had 3 Galactuses lined up side by side, it just wouldn't look right. It would be a big blur and your eyes wouldn't have anywhere to land. One quality piece with purpose will always stand out more than quantity without meaning. And that is not limitation. That is clarity. At the end of the day, this hobby has never been about owning the most. It's really always been about choosing what it is that matters to us. Collecting is intentional. Consumerism is compulsive. And hoarding leaves you unresolved. And no, those 3 things are not the same. So if you take anything from this video, let it be this. In 2026, slow down, be patient, and curate with confidence. Because when your collection starts to reflect you and stops reflecting the Hasbro release calendar, that's when things start to feel right again. Until next time. Peace.